Hello people, today we're going to be doing a reptile room tour. Sort of. Now this video has been a long time coming, and I probably should have made this a while ago. Now in a previous video I mentioned that the highest amount of animals I had at one point was 40. The reason why I should have made this video a little while ago is because I no longer have 40, and it would have been a better video with more content if I had 40 animals to film. I don't have 40 animals anymore. The number's 17 now. So less than half the animals that I used to own. And I believe when I made that video saying that I had 40 animals in the past, I had about 22 or 23 total. So it's decreased a little bit since then, but it won't be decreasing anymore. This is the minimum amount of animals that I am going to have, and I'm going to be housing all of these animals in this style of enclosure, the big, beautiful kind of enclosure, the one that we're building, the Quadplex. Once I get all of the animals housed in those, then we're going to start progressing into getting more animals. The reason why I've gone down in quantity of animals is because I had a lot of the same animals because of breeding. For example, I had 15 Western Hognose snakes at my peak, but I don't plan on breeding Hognose snakes in the future, so there's no point in me having 15. I also had multiple Mexican black king snakes, multiple Texan rat snakes, and things like that. So I've downsized it to where I don't really have breeding options as much anymore. I might get back to breeding some stuff in the future, but right now, I'm good. Now I'm getting more into diversity within the collection rather than having basically all the same species for breeding purposes. I want to house everything in a beautiful big enclosure, and I'm only going to be getting new snakes once all the current ones I have are housed in big beautiful enclosures like this, or the ones that are upstairs. So now we're only going to be going up in animals, but that's not going to be for a little while. But that's enough junk. Let's get to the animal tour. Now what I'm going to do for this reptile tour, or this reptile room tour, is I'm not actually going to go to each individual enclosure because these ones are big and beautiful. The ones behind you are just racks, and they all look basically the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the animals out of the racks, and I'm just going to introduce them to you here in front of the camera. So our first snake here is a Western Hognose. This is Nag Nag, and she was the first snake I ever purchased. Next up here, another Hognose snake. She kind of blends into the sweater almost. This is Aloy. Now if you know where that name came from, you're a legend. I'm not much of a gamer, but I enjoyed playing that one. So she's also a female. She's a little bit smaller than Nag Nag. She's a little bit younger as well, to be fair. But I plan on keeping this girl because she is one hell of a picky eater. She was very difficult to get started. She can be a little tricky now, even. She's a super condomorph, but I'm not really into morphs anyway. This is about as expensive a morph as I would purchase now. Final Western Hognose of the day. Scuds. So this is me Hognose snake that has all the attitude. The other two tend to be quite chill. You can pretty much do whatever you want with them. Scud here, before I was being rudely interrupted, I was trying to tell you, Scud has a bit of attitude. I mean, it's all show, right? It's all bluff and show. He won't do anything. But he's never going to do anything. He's never going to bite. I'm giving him every opportunity to do so. It's just show. He's the snake that I typically show to people when they're scared of snakes. Because I'm like, look what he's doing. He's making a whole bunch of racket, but he's harmless, guys. Now, I'm keeping Scud here, and I'm keeping the two females, because maybe in the future I'll breed them. I haven't fully decided, but I don't want to completely remove my ability to breed. I really do enjoy Hognose snakes, and these were my three favorites. Now, this is the biggest girl who's currently in the rack system at the moment, and she is in desperate need of a bigger enclosure. This is Latte. Where are you going? This is Latte, one of my Texan rat snakes. Where are you going? I can't see you. Oh, you're going over there. It's because her boyfriend's in that enclosure currently. She's investigating quite a bit. I'm trying to show you to the camera, you little minx. But she is in desperate need of getting out of the rack system and getting into one of these big, beautiful enclosures. She is a beautiful snake. Our next snake here, and as you can see, he is not particularly happy about being handled. This is Hunter, and he is a blonde Madagascar hognose snake. I don't handle him all that much, and now I smell like snake piss. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Now, he is wild caught, so he's not the most fond of being handled. Our next snake here, which probably looks the exact same as the previous snake, and that's because it's the same kind of snake. This is Bolt. He is another blonde Madagascar hognose snake. Now, he got his nickname Bolt because when I first got him, man, was he a maniac. He did not let you touch him. He'd run. Whew, he was quick. But now he's a lot more chill. Now, both of these guys are males, which is a little unfortunate. It would have been nice to potentially breed them. But I've had 5 of these snakes in total throughout my life. 5 Madagascar blonde hognose snakes, that is. Now, I've only ever had 1 female, so I wasn't lucky when it came to that side of things. Here's one of my snakes. This is the snake that is the most likely to bite me. However, she doesn't have any teeth. She doesn't know that. And as you can see, she's not the most happy. I'm trying to give her the same kind of setup that she wants, which is she wants to be able to sit like this. Now the problem with them rotating like that is they don't tend to stay on you. Now this is my African egg-eating snake. Now I know that you want to rotate, but if you do that you're going to fall off my hands. I don't handle her all that much because she's not a fan of it, as you can see. But this is her, she's Omelette, we're going to put her back. So what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about her now when she's not on my hands, because she is a little bit of a handful to handle. She's not fond of it, so she tends to just want to roll in a ball, make her noise, and kind of, you know, tell you to leave me alone. Like, she's not going to run through your hands like that, so she's not the most ideal to handle and talk about. She's also a wild caught snake, but she's been in captivity for like 5 years. I've owned her for 3. She used to be housed in an enclosure like this, but recently that enclosure kind of went past its expiration date. So I've gotten rid of that. She's currently in the rack system, but she's not going to be there for all that long. I want to build her like a really nice, epic, kind of like excavator clay type enclosure, like the Grand Canyon-esque kind of thing. Now, I know she's not from that part of the world. She's an African snake, not a North American snake. But I think that would be a really cool enclosure to build, so I can't wait to do that. So, Omelette, you've got that coming, girl. So that's all the snakes that are currently in the snake racks. One of them is in desperate need of getting out of the snake rack, that being Latte. The others, they're still perfectly fine size-wise to be in the snake rack, but aesthetic-wise, I don't like them in there. So now we're going to look at the Quadplex. Now, one thing we got to address here. The snakes that I'm about to show you that are in this Quadplex are not all the same as the snakes that used to be in the Quadplex. The snakes that we housed in the Quadplex, for example. Because some of those snakes I no longer have. So we might as well start off with this now. Now, I had Malagasy and I had Astro. My intentions were to breed them. Astro and Malagasy were both wild caught, and Astro, when I got him, was not an adult. He is an adult now, but he had to grow. Malagasy, on the other hand, was ginormous when I got her, but she was easily triple, if not 4 times his weight and size. She was massive. The photos don't do her justice. She was definitely pushing past 5 feet in length. But she was an old snake, and unfortunately, she has passed away recently. I did take her to a vet to kind of see what was going on, to see if there was anything that was done incorrectly. The vet just said that he believed that she was quite an old snake. It was probably just her time to go. So, as a result, breeding giant Madagascar and Hognose snakes isn't as simple now. So I have a couple of options. I can seek out another female, I can just not breed them, or I can rehome Astro and try and progress into something else. Now, the Madagascar giant Hognose snake is my favourite snake. It won the tournament, for God's sakes. But my decision that I've come to is that I'm going to rehome Astro and I'm going to progress into something different. So Astro has been sold. He's been shipped out to a lovely girl who's going to keep his name, and I'm going to try and see if I can keep like tabs and updates on him. So we're going to be saying goodbye to Astro in this video pretty much. And here is little, well, not so little, he's still a giant hognose, right? Like, he's still a giant hognose snake. And I don't think the camera is focusing, but we're not going to bother about that. You can see his tail there, so he's already starting to musk almost instantaneously. But here's Astro, perfectly healthy. He's quite a young snake. I'm going to guess he's about 3 to 5 years old, because he's doubled in size since I got him. And when I put him near the female, he wanted nothing to do with her. So, it smells like piss, Astro. He was making me smell like piss, buddy. My favourite snake, but unfortunately, we can't really facilitate him right now. So, he's going to a new home. So this is going to be goodbye to Astro. And we will be getting more of these in the future. Just currently doesn't really facilitate our plans going forward. It's sad that I'm rehoming them, because, you know, this channel's a reptile-based channel. I shouldn't be giving all my reptiles away. I should be obtaining more, right? That's realistically, when you think about what's going to make me more entertaining, it would be obtaining more animals, right? Not less animals. I think I'm going backwards in that aspect. But I want to get all of the animals into these beautiful enclosures first. So a giant Madagascar hognose, it is on the horizon to come back into the collection, but probably not for a little while. So I don't know what video I'm going to be inserting this into, so let's just get back to whatever the hell that is. So I thought I would sell him off to somebody who maybe has a female, who's maybe in a position to maybe get them breeding soon, and if they ever have babies, maybe I'll have the option to buy one. But currently, right now, I don't have the use for a Madagascar giant hognose snake. They're very difficult to get in, to get established, and to get eating. I will say that. They are quite difficult. So me having one, but not breeding it, kind of seems like a waste. It kind of seems like I'm not doing the hobby any favors here. So if there's somebody out there that has a female that's eating, and I have a male that's eating, it's like, well, let's combine these two together and get a breeding population going. Now, I may not be able to contribute that much to it, but maybe we can get that breeding population going. They are an absolute epic fucking snake. My favorite snake I've ever owned absolutely was Malagasy. Hands down, no argument, nothing. She was my favourite snake. And I would love for them to be more popular within the hobby, and I would love to actually own a captive bred one that I could have from a baby and handle it all the way up. Because, like, you can see in the video that I've held Astro and I've held Malagasy and they're perfectly fine. Imagine having one from a baby though. How tame they could be. How chill, how great of a snake that could be. A hognose that gets that big. So I hope that one day in the future I'll be able to buy a captive bred baby, but because I couldn't directly aid in that pursuit, I've decided to rehouse him. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. But in saying that, what that's done is that's freed 2 of the enclosures within the Quadplex for us to house other snakes in. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is some corn snakes. Now all of these corn snakes are brothers, by the way. We have Harpo, who is the pink snow one, and we have Groucho. Now his name Groucho has nothing to do with him being grouchy. Now if you know where the names Groucho and Harpo come from, you gain 10 respect points. Well done. Like, you don't get much better than that. What do you want? Oh, he backed off. That's dominance right there. And the third brother here, Chico, who is the Exantic. This is something that's really cool. Oh, don't fall off, Chico. You've got to stay a part of the group. These are my 3 corn snakes. I f***ing love corn snakes, guys. These are epic snakes. This is the problem when you handle 3 snakes, though. It's kind of difficult to keep track of them all. All right, Chico, back you go. Fun fact for you, ladies and gentlemen. I have been bitten by quite a few snakes. Obviously, when you're in the hobby of keeping snakes, that's what tends to happen. Chico here is the only snake that I currently own that has bitten me. He bit me as a baby, and I've never let it go. I've always been salty about it. But no, he bit me as a baby because he thought that I was food. And I got the fun experience of dealing with a snake that thought I was food and didn't want to let go. So I feel like Groucho and me have a special connection. He tried to make me his dinner, and we've been friends ever since. All 3 of those guys are housed in the bottom enclosure of the Quadplex currently. Now, yes, you're not supposed to house snakes together, but they're all males. They've been together since literally day 1. Never had any issues. So they're in the bottom Quadplex enclosure at the moment, sharing it together. I want to build them an enclosure that's probably 3 or 4 times that size, and try and maybe make it like a hamster enclosure with like the hamster tunnels and stuff, because they would use it. Most snakes are lazy. They tend to find a hide and just kind of stay there. Corn snakes, on the other hand, they don't seem to do that. They seem to investigate, they seem to do all kinds of fun stuff. They'll use whatever you put in their enclosures. So I feel like that could be a real fun build. So that's something we're going to be getting down to in the future. And now we've jumped upstairs to filming the Frilled Lizards. So we've got, obviously, Gabby here, and we got Gizmo over here. Still living in their nice big enclosure, and unfortunately, as soon as I come up here to film this bloody segment, the fan turns on. So we're just gonna have to deal with a little bit of background noise for now. But here are these 2 living together. They've pretty much been living together for about 6 months now. Gabby did lay some slugs a little while ago, but she's never given me any viable offspring. Which, again, as I said in the previous video, if it never happens, it never happens. If it does happen, great. But to be fair, I probably wouldn't sell the babies, so it's probably a good idea that I don't have any. Now, some of you are probably going to recognize this enclosure, because these are the girls that used to be in there, Greta and Gabby. Currently, the resident of this lovely enclosure is Cleo down here. My male Taiwan beauty snake. Now, he is an adult, and he is probably pushing about 6 to 7 feet at this point. And as you can see, he's quite curious. He's quite a curious and he's quite a brave snake. We've got a hide box up there. We've got a cold hide, we've got a humid hide, we've got his water bowl, and we've got a bunch of twigs. Now, Cleo used to be housed down here in the Quadplex, in the top enclosure of the Quadplex, that is. We built it for him, but he outgrew it. So obviously he can't stay in the Quadplex anymore. So we've had to house him in a new enclosure, which is going to be in Greta and Gabby's current enclosure, which I just showed you. So that's now Cleo's enclosure. I don't foresee him getting all that much bigger. We'll probably change his enclosure over a little bit in the future, but I don't foresee him getting much bigger and needing anything much larger than that, unless we just choose to do it because we want to. So stay tuned for the next Quadplex video where we actually deal with a little bit more of Cleo, but I'm only going to show you that much of him in this video. So, back to the Quadplex. Now I'm going to be showing you the setups here as well. This is going to actually be a bit of a portion of the reptile room tour. I'm actually going to show you these enclosures. So this right here is me Mexican black king snake, Shadow, and Shadow's enclosure. So this is the enclosure that we originally housed Malagasy. So this is Shadow, me Mexican black king snake, and he is a male, and this is his current setup. That pipe obviously will be changing, as I said in the previous video, but for now it will have to do. This enclosure here used to house Hydra. She no longer lives in here. Instead, who we have in here is Casper, who's buried himself all the way in the back there, and there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to get him out. This is his current enclosure. So he's got the ledge up there, which he doesn't use all that much. He's got this branch, and he's got a couple of clay tubes to hide in, which he loves. He absolutely loves these things, in them pretty much all the time. He has this hide here, which he never uses. He's got this very small water bowl at the moment because I was cleaning his other one, which is just down there, which needs to be put back in here. This is Hydra, me ball python, a pastel normal, not really sure what she is, but here she is in her little hide. She absolutely loves this thing. Push her back to where it was. But this is her enclosure currently. So she's now currently at the top. She's a very lazy snake. She occasionally uses that branch along the top, but pretty much she remains in there, or she'll be on this corner here out in the front. That's about it. Now Hydra's enclosure is probably a little bit on the small side for her, but Hydra gets the most floor time. What do I mean by floor time? I mean by when I'm in the snake room, I'll take Hydra out of the enclosure and just put her on the floor, and she'll just wander around. So she gets that quite often. And she's quite a lazy snake anyway, so I don't really see her needing much more space than that. But the future goal here, obviously, is for me to build beautiful enclosures for all of my snakes before I start getting any more animals, that is. So what I want to do, what I see happening first, is building a duplex. It'll be an enclosure that's the same size as this, but it's going to be 4 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot deep. And I want to make that for Hydra, and I want to make that for the corn snakes. Then I'm going to house Latte, and I'm going to house probably Omelette, the egg-eating snake, into their respective enclosures within this quadplex. And I'll do some deviating, some changing. I'm going to build some hides and things like that. So we've got a lot more building coming up. Then I'll build another quadplex, pretty similar to this one, just I want to do completely different style. Then what I want to do with that is I want to house all of the hognose snakes in that. So it will be an enclosure probably the same size of this, but it'll be made up of 5 enclosures as opposed to 4. Because none of those hognose snakes are going to use the height in these enclosures. But then I'll have this big quadplex here, I'll have another duplex beside it, and then I'm going to have a 5-tiered enclosure on that side, kind of behind you where the racks are, where all the hognose snakes are going to be. Then I'm going to move Cleo down here, put him over here. At that point we've housed all the snakes into beautiful enclosures, and we've outgrown the snake room. So that only leaves one thing to do next.